Hi everyone, my name is Robin Caden. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and mom of two boys. Today we are going live with Hilaria Baldwin to talk all things else nutrition and toddler nutrition. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can start asking now. If I don't get to any of your questions, I can DM you later or you can DM me later and we can get those questions answered. So we are just waiting on Hilaria. If you don't know already, Hilaria is a super mom of 5 kids and she is loving this new product, Else Nutrition. If you don't know what it is a toddler-based formula. It comes in powder form. I have a canister here. And it is complete nutrition for toddlers, and that's kids age 12 months and up. If you're weaning from breast milk, if you're weaning from infant formula, then this is a good transition. Instead of whole milk, in case your toddler has allergies or you want to be vegan, this is a great substitution. Okay, here is Hilaria. She is joining us. She should be right in here. Hi, Hilaria.
I love that you're in like this like beautiful backdrop, whereas I'm hiding on the floor in my bathroom.
I found that too. Don't worry.
This is my regular place that I work because it seems to be far enough from my kids that I can at least like takes them a long time to find me. So I just sit in a corner right by my tub, and then I can actually have like a decent conversation without my 5 children.
I love it. I only have 2 kids and I switch my hiding spot. It's either in my home office or in my guest bedroom. I close the door, I lock the door. Sometimes they're still knocking.
The shaking of the door is what cracks me up a lot, when they're like literally like trying to bang the door down. No, that's very smart. I'm gonna have to start doing that. Like just switch it up, change the hiding spot. That'll be my big takeaway from this. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
You too.
And you know, some people have been writing to me. They're like, "Oh my God, I love her. I'm so excited for this conversation." So I think this should be super fun. So for you guys who are just joining, Robin is a registered dietitian. She has degrees from Cornell and Columbia University. And she embraces a healthier lifestyle through nutrition and focuses on taking a smart and sensible approach to pediatrics. And today we're going to talk about toddler nutrition, which is, so how old are your kids?
My kids are 6 and 8. I have 2 boys.
Okay. And well, I'm like deep in the whole toddlerhood. My oldest is 7, and then my youngest is 3 months today.
Okay. So you are in the thick of it.
The thick of it, and it's hard because kids can be, you know, super picky, and you know, it's been hard through the years of trying to make sure that they're getting the foods that we want them to eat. When, you know, one day that I feel like little kids, when they're younger, they'll try everything, and then they just hit this point where they're like, I no longer eat that. That was yesterday. Today is today. Mm-hmm. And welcome to my picky phase that was gonna last a really long time. So how can, you know, with toddlers being super picky, how can we make sure that they get the right nutrition?
So here's the thing. First, what I want everyone to realize is that toddlers that's age 12 months and up, what's happening is they are going through all sorts of changes. Their bodies are developing, their brains are developing. They're learning to walk, they're learning to talk, they're learning about relationships and caregiver reactions. So if you think they're picky and they're not accepting the perfect food you want them to accept, it may not be that they don't like it at all. It may not be they have sensory issues. It's just being a toddler. So
right.
If they throw that plate of like the perfect vegan meal you made them, looks so beautiful, Instagram, throw it at you, they want to see how you react. They want to see if you smile, if you laugh, if you yell, because with toddlers, any reaction is a good reaction. Whether you're laughing or yelling, they're like, oh, look what I made mommy do. Or, oh, my nanny picks up my plate every time I throw it on the floor. Let's do it again. So you never know what they're thinking. And it's nothing you're doing wrong, I promise you. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches. But the thing is, at this time when everything's developing, they're moving more, their brain's developing, they actually need more nutrients. They need all the protein, they need all the carbohydrates, they need all the fat for their developing brain. So we have to do something to make sure they get all these calories in.
Right. Now I started incorporating Elle's toddler formula. Maybe what has it been, like 8 months ago, 6 months ago, something like that. And it's something that especially Romeo, who's 2.5, he loves it. But I put it in my kids' pancakes and I make smoothies with it. I take it with literally my husband and I will eat food that I've cooked with else in it because I love that the ingredients are all great ingredients. I mean, it's just food. So can you talk to me a little bit about the benefits of else?
Yes. So 92% of it are plant-based products. It's almonds, tapioca, and buckwheat flour. So that's 92% of the formula. And the rest of everything is less than 2%. So although there is a tiny bit of sugar, all transparency, there's a tiny bit of sugar for it to taste better, but there's only 1 gram. It's organic cane sugar, and there's less than 2%. So there's nothing, it's 100% natural. It's a complete nutrition formula. So it has all the protein, fat, and carbs the toddlers need, and it has all the vitamins. So as I mentioned, my kids were definitely picky eaters. They went through that terrible food jag, and here I am, young first-time mom, especially the first one. I'm like, oh my God, I know what to do. I'm making these pretty plates. He's not eating it. And I found myself in the grocery store buying the frozen foods. I'm like, what am I doing?
And you're a nutritionist and you're like,
yes. I'm like, I know what to, when you're in the thick of it and they're not eating and they're not sleeping and you're so frustrated, you're like, oh my God, what can I do? What can I do? So I tell people when my kids were little, I felt like, okay, well, they drank their milk, they had a couple pieces of fruit, they're good. But I really wish that something like this existed when my kids were little, because although milk is great, but number one, if your kids have allergies, if your kids have food sensitivities, if you're vegan, if you want to be vegan, milk isn't the end all be all for everybody. So it would be nice to have an option. Even if my kids were drinking their milk, this would be a great addition because you get all the plant-based benefits. It's plant-based. It's higher in fiber. It's lower in saturated fat. It has all the phytonutrients that milk doesn't have. So even if my kids were having some milk, I'd love to switch it up because when they're only eating 3 foods, you're like, oh my God, what else can I give them? What can I do? So this is it's a great substitute for milk or plant-based milks, which we can talk about and get into that. But it makes moms feel good to know that their kids are getting nutrition when they're no longer getting breast milk.
Right. No, with my daughter who's 7 now, I started giving her, I breastfed, and then I started giving her almond milk, and then I learned that almond milk doesn't have all the ingredients, all the nutrition that we want. And then I started, I do hemp milk and I do rice milk and I did all this different stuff. Are plant-based milks enough? Because that's what I found that wasn't. You can't just give them a cup of almond milk and say, okay, they've had their milk for the day.
So almond milk is not really a substitute for breast milk. It's not a substitute for formula. It's not a substitute for whole milk. If you look at almond milk, especially if you want to stay away from the ones that don't have added sugar and don't have added oil, 30 calories per cup, you're not giving your child enough nutrition. So there's either not enough protein, there's not enough calories. Maybe you're doing coconut milk, but coconut milk is high in fat, but then there's not enough protein, there's not enough carbs. So sure, could you make a balanced meal with the plant milk and with a bunch of different foods? Yes, but I don't know many toddlers that are perfect eaters, like we said, for all that's going on in their bodies. So it's really difficult. It's just a great insurance policy.
Yeah, no, that's the way that I think about it. I mean, and even if your kid eats really good, it's never a bad idea. And last night, Romeo was being really, really, really picky. So my 2.5-year-old was being really, really picky. And I tried everything, and I tried games, and I tried, absolutely all my tricks that I could possibly think about. And then I literally was like, all right, I am going to go make a sippy cup with else in it. And that's what we're going to do. But then I know that he's having really good food. So, I think when we talk about it as an insurance policy, we talk about this, and that's really what we want to do as parents, you know, is that we want to make sure that our kids are getting the right nutrition, not just to grow well, but also to be happy and feel good. So, I mean, I think, you know, this idea of it as an insurance policy of saying, okay, you know what, my kid either ate well today or didn't eat well today, but if I give them, how much of this do they really need for us to feel good at the end of the day? Should it be like 1 cup, 2 cups? Does it have to be every day?
So if you're dealing with a child who has severe food allergies, if someone just asked which product it is who just tuned in, it's Else Nutrition. It's plant-based and organic toddler formula for ages 12 and up. Someone also just asked about goat milk. Goat milk you can use, absolutely, but not if you're vegan or not if you have allergies to milk. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, I don't feed my kids dairy. We don't eat, we pretty much stay away from almost all animal products, but they don't eat dairy, not because we have an allergy, but just because I've done a lot of research and everybody chooses their own way to feed their kids. And that's the way that I've chosen to feed my kids. So when I discovered Else, it seemed like, I mean, it is the perfect fit for my family because it's exactly the way that they want to eat. You know, I mean, eat plants, eat whole, good ingredients, sourced from good places. So that's why I fell in love with it right away. So I'm sorry, you were saying how often we should be drinking it?
So if your child is a very picky eater that maybe has allergies and isn't really taking many other foods, you can have 3 to 4 servings a day, kind of like you would serve milk or like you would serve formula or you would breastfeed. So it's like it's a lot of your calories for the day. If you just want to serve it 1 to 2 times a day, if it's number 1, in addition to a child that already eats well, or 2, in addition to a child that has milk, but you want the plant benefits and all the nutrition that comes along with Else, you can do it a couple times a day. Or if you just, so what we've discovered, so research changes all the time. When my kids were little, I was afraid to give them nuts until they were 2 years old. And here we are with a toddler formula. It has almonds in it. And I know parents give their kids tastes of like almond powder or peanut flour when they're very young, just so they don't become allergic. So the research is changing. Plant-based, even if you're not vegan, is the way to go. The research, like you said, you've done the research supports it. So even if you don't want to be completely vegan, no, none of us work for the dairy industry. Someone just asked a question.
We're actually talking about vegan milks. If you just turned in, maybe they're hearing milk. Yes.
So like I said, I'm not vegan, but I do consider myself plant-based because I could be vegan. I love vegan food. I love the benefits of plants. I have a little fish once in a while, but there's just so many benefits. Like I said, there's more fiber, which is great for the gut. Right. More variety is good for the microbiome, which is the key word today. Microbiome controls everything from your digestions to weight. And yeah, so, and just,
some people who are probably tuning in now are asking how to incorporate them. We'll leave you guys with this. So the way that I think of my kids' nutrition as a whole, and you can give me your opinion on this, is, are my kids allowed to eat Halloween candy? Yes. Do they have colors in them?
Yep.
Yes. When we go to, before this reality that we're in right now of quarantine life, when we used to go to birthday parties and there was cheese pizza and my kids wanted to try it, I let them try it. If there was the cake, I let them try it. We don't eat that way in our house, but I think about it as this. I want to give them an immune system, a system inside where they really, really feel good most of the time by giving them whole food. And whether that means that you're vegan or not vegan, whether you eat dairy or you're lactose free or whatever that means for you, do your research, figure out how you want to feed your kid, because we do end up being what we eat. It's the building blocks of our system. It's how our kids sleep. It's how our kids feel. So that's why it was so important for me to focus on something like Else to incorporate into our diet, just to make sure that no matter how picky my kids are going to be, that I know that they're getting some very basic nutrition that I want them to get. Now, how I incorporate that, Romeo will drink cups of it. and I mix that with hemp milk because we drink a lot of hemp
great.
milk.
So for anyone,
it tastes really good. I like it. I mean, I shake it up and then I sip it, and I'm always like, I do this to make sure that there's no like chunks in it, and I've shaken it enough. And it's mostly just because I like the way that it tastes. It tastes really good. But I also put it in pancakes. I put it in smoothies. You can use it for older kids. I mean, I kid you not, Alec and I eat the same food that the kids eat, especially now when we're all,
there's nothing baby about it. It has almonds, buckwheat, and tapioca. There's nothing baby
it's
about
food.
it. So a lot of these like alternative formulas either are full of corn syrup, they're full of other sugars, they're full of oils, and I just consider that pouring poison into a child's body when this is all natural. Plus the fact that the processing, this is something I want to touch on. The way that this product is processed is clean, and there's actually a label. It's a clean label product. So there's no chemicals or solvents used, because to make a food a powder, to get it from the almond to the powder form, things have to be extracted. And a lot of these companies, like large companies, use chemicals and solvents to get it into the form that they want it, but not this.
Somebody just wrote, if it's food, why do we need to buy it? Well, first of all, you have to buy any food. Second of all, I don't know if you have a toddler, but I thought, I was like, I eat vegetables. I'm so healthy. I'm a yoga teacher. My kids are just going to eat broccoli like it's nothing. They're going to go. My kids don't do that. They didn't do that. And it was a reckoning with myself when I realized, I was like, oh gosh, what's happening? I'm this kind of person, and you identify with it. And then you realize that kids are kids. And no matter how much broccoli the mommy eats, the kids are not necessarily going to eat that all the time. They're going to go through a phase. Most kids go through a phase. And so to give them something that is good food, it's sourced in a really intelligent way, and it tastes good, and they'll have it, for me, it's a no-brainer. So that ultimately, for that question is just, I want to make sure that during the 2s and the 3s, when they tend to be a little bit pickier, that they're still getting the nutrition that they need, because they're doing a lot of really important growing. And also 2 and 3, I think, are the most difficult ages so far. These are challenging ages. And when kids don't feel well, when they're not getting the nutrition, they're hungry, they're tired, they're, deficient in something, they don't act as well. And it ends up being a more stressful environment. They get angry. They get very angry. Anyway. All right. Well, it was really lovely chatting with you.
You too.
Thank you. I hope that was interesting for you guys. Again, this is about Else Nutrition. It's something that I incorporate on a daily basis with my kids. And check it out. Check it out.